Hey everyone, welcome to the Connecting Greeks podcast. I am Ari, and I have my two co-hosts with me, but I just want to say very quickly, we have an amazing episode today. This is somebody that I've been reading about for a long time. Some of the stuff I read about him was just beyond my belief. I thought it was somewhat made up. And then I saw him on TV and I saw a whole bunch of stuff. An unbelievable guy. The closest thing I think I will ever get to interviewing like a superhero, I think this is it right here. So before we get to him, let me introduce my co-host, Foti Stamos. Hi, Foti. How are you?
Yeah, so Ari, I'm doing great. And to your point, I'm going to second the excitement with our guest. And also, just from reading all the accomplishments, I've been exhausted from just what I've read. But it's an honor to have our guest tonight.
And you know, we're talking about superhuman. So before we get to our guest, the other superhuman in the room, Angelo Tsaroukas, everyone. Hello, Angelo.
Or as I'm referred to today as Zoom user.
Yes, Zoom
because
user
I'm
number
challenged
one.
and I don't know how to use the stupid Zoom program because I'm on a ship with people who can't stop eating. The irony today that we got this amazing guest and welcome Dean Karnazes to the dysfunctional Connecting Greeks podcast. But I know who you are, and it's funny because you know I've seen the stuff in airports, Ultramarathon Man, Confessions of an All-Night Runner, Runner's High, bestseller, New York Times, The Road to Sparta, my favorite, where my family's from. Now, I got to ask you this from the beginning because we're going to get to know it. 50 and 50. Okay. I travel a lot. You did 50 marathons and 50 states and 50 consecutive days.
Unbelievable.
Amazing. Like, I mean, I that's including Hawaii and Alaska.
Yeah, I was
so
on the.
Where did you start and where did you end?
Yeah, so I started in St. Louis, Missouri, with the Lewis and Clark Marathon on the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition, and finished in New York City. And it's funny that you said that because after I finished, I was on the Conan O'Brien show, and he was doing his introduction. And he said, "Yeah, we got a guy here. You're not going to believe it. He just ran 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 days. He's dead, but we're going to drag him out here."
I mean, any normal person that I would ever talk to would say, A, that's impossible. B, if you pushed your body to do that, you will be dead. I don't think that before I read about you, I wouldn't think that would be physically possible. I mean, is there anything that there must be something about you that allows your body to push itself to these limits? Is this something that's explainable?
Yeah, I'm Greek.
Yeah.
That's it.
I was waiting for that.
There you go.
I mean, the birthplace of long distance running is Greece. You know, the birthplace of the Olympics. Literally, there's a class of citizens called the Hemerodromi, which were day-long runners in ancient Greece, and that was their vocation. Is they would, they'd dispatch messengers to different city-states to collect intelligence and disseminate information. And these guys, they could outrun a horse. And
so basically, you took every single one of these guys in the population and they put them into one human, and here you are.
Well, I mean, it's hereditary. I think a lot of it. They say that the best thing you could do as a long distance runner is to choose your parents well. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Yeah.
Dean, you look 31 years old. You do not look at all, and I can attribute that to the Greek genes. Obviously, your diet is impeccable, and that's an example. Now, I think I'm the opposite end of the spectrum. So I'm going to make this comparison for this. At one point, I almost weighed 500 pounds. All right. And what I realized was this is wrong. So what I did, I cut out sugar and bread. And now I'm down to 300. I dropped a human being. I think it was somebody living inside me that left. And now I keep doing that. And the thing is that, being a road comic, a lot of times what I have a problem with is making the right choices. because you end up in airports and hotels and you can't find the nutrition you're looking for. When you were doing the 50 and 50, did you have something? What was the regimen? What was your diet like in order to sustain? Because you have to eat so much food to be able to do that, right? I mean, what was it?
Yeah, I had to eat about 7,000 to 10,000 calories a day just to not lose weight.
Right. Wow.
So
Oh my
I was
gosh.
eating a lot,
Wow.
and I had my family along, and they were trying to cook as much as they could, my mom and dad, because I like eating real food.
Mhm.
So they tried to cook as much as they could, but I wanted to try the food as well. Part of seeing America is trying all the different foods across America.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
indulged, but I could indulge because, like I said, I was burning so many calories. It didn't really matter what I was eating. It was gonna all get used as energy anyway.
Wow. It's still, I still like over and over just go through this process, and it still just amazes me how, like,
Let's
I watched the Flash, the Justice League, whatever, one of the superhero movies, and the Flash is in it. So he's like super fast and he runs long distances and he's always eating. And that's like exactly when you were just describing. I was like, somebody who could do this, you
Yeah.
always have to be consuming and burning and just keeping yourself. What happens if you don't have like a good meal? Does it like slow you down, or do you get tired, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I definitely feel it. I mean, my body is pretty attuned to what's going in it because,
Mhm.
I rely on my body, and I have a pretty good relationship with it. So if I have with me, when I travel, if there's not the right foods available, I don't eat. I rather just fast than eat
Okay.
airport food or whatever.
Mhm.
So I try to take food with me when I can, but I'm really regimented. Like, I've become really regimented in what I eat, just because I feel so crappy if I eat something bad.
Yeah, I could imagine. Is there any
No, I
food?
like that.
Yeah.
I like. Sorry, I just wanted to add to that. That's the key.
Mhm.
Is if I don't like the food that I want, I fast. And that's a lot of people say, "Oh, I couldn't find fruits and vegetables, so I had a Hershey bar." No, that doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off, Ari, but just
No,
like,
no, no.
wanted
I
to
was
add
just
to
gonna.
it.
Yeah, no, I hear people
Yeah,
say
go
they're
ahead.
on a seafood diet. They see food and they eat it.
Right.
Exactly.
Eat it. Yeah, exactly.
So I
Well,
was just gonna ask you, Dean, so you're attuned with your body. Is there any food or food group or kind of uh genre of food that is best for you, especially when you're running? Or is it just, lots of carbs, lots of
Well, I mean, I'll digress a bit. I haven't always been such a healthy eater. In fact, in my first book, I'll Never Live Down the Story of one time I was running this 200-mile race. It was a 12-person relay race, and I don't have 11 friends, so I was just running the 200 miles by myself. And I got stuck in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of the night on this backcountry road, and I didn't have any. There was no food around, so I had a credit card and a cell phone, and I ordered a pizza delivered to me as I was
I heard
running.
this.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
That is so
hilarious.
I just rolled into this big, like, Italian burrito as I was running. I ate the whole thing.
It's so
People
As you
say,
were
"How
running,
did
you ate
how
it."
did you eat a whole pizza while you were running?" But it's not like I was sprinting. I mean, I ran for 45 hours straight. So you get hungry when you're, when
Yeah.
you're running for 45 hours.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I say if I can't pick it from a tree or dig it from the earth or catch it with my hands, I don't eat it. So I
Oh.
pretty much follow like a traditional Mediterranean diet. I mean, you can turn
Yeah.
the clock back to ancient Greece. It's kind of the diet. I don't need any bread. I don't need any nothing refined. Nothing that's processed in a machine. All real food.
And do you find that that's a tough, especially in America? I mean, I could say for other places, but definitely in America, that's tough to do. I mean, you go to the grocery store, and unless you're really looking like really well, just grabbing any item, you're going to find so much refinement, so many preservatives, so much just junk in there, and it's like it's so hard to eat well, and it's frustrating. So
Guys,
somebody like you, I could imagine, you have to be pretty well versed in everything that you're going to eat, because otherwise it's tough to do.
It's kind of a pain in the ass because, you know, I go to the produce section all the time because I'm eating all this, you know, fruits and vegetables kind of thing. And, you know, that stuff doesn't last. It doesn't keep for very long. It's not like a, you know, box of cereal where 4 years later you can pull it out and eat it.
A
We'll
Twinkie.
have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, you know, when I go to Greece, I'm just in my element because, you know, I mean, we could go on and on about when I go to Greece, but it's tougher here in America for sure.
Well, Costa, speaking of Greece, why don't you tell us a little bit about your upbringing as a Greek American? You know, where you grew up and maybe your experience as a Greek American with food at home and what possibly led you to what you're doing today.
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California. I was born in LA, and we went to Saint Sophia. I don't know if you guys know Saint Sophia. Great
That's
church.
my church.
Yeah, I think, Angela. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went to Greek school. I went through, you know, I was in Goya. I was pretty much raised Greek. And then when I was 15, I moved to Australia. I was a foreign exchange student, and I got the funniest call from a person that was crying, saying she had to meet me. And I thought, who is this person? Well, it was my my great aunt, my grandfather Gus. You know, my namesake. He came to America and lost touch with his family, and his sister had been trying to find him her whole life. She moved to Alexandria, and then with the, you know, when NASA took over Egypt, they were forced to flee to Australia. So she saw my name in the newspaper and she recognized me and said, I have to meet this guy. And so I met my family, you know, all my relatives in Australia. And that was quite amazing. Yeah.
Oh, what an experience. What was it like? Are both your parents Greek?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My parents are 100% Greek. My dad is from the Peloponnese, and my mom is from Ikaria.
Ikaria.
You know, the island where they live.
The Blue
forever.
Zone.
Okay.
That explains it. That explains it right there.
Right there. I was going to ask this question before, after 40. Now, 60 Minutes did a thing on Ikaria. The per capita, the most amount of centurions that live in the world come from there. So you got those genes from Ikaria, from mom, and you got that Spartan blood in you too. So you're like the poster boy for like either Leonidas or Alexander the Great. You got both of those things coming together. But it's true because you know, Dean, when they say Mediterranean diet, and that became famous in America, and Greek yogurt, you know, and Ikaria, it's Tuesday. So to them, all the bread and all the stuff that they do, and I've had this conversation. I find when I go to Greece, if I go down to the Horia, and we're eating a little more, yet I'm walking more, and I'm not putting on weight. And you know, we know the silent killer is sugar. Is because they put it in everything now, absolutely everything, and it's a real problem because it's addictive. And I found in Greece is that and that's what I was going to ask you. Like, it's a weird thing. Greeks drink more, smoke more, yet live longer than anybody else in Europe. It's the truth. It's so weird.
Greece is a dichotomy.
And the whole idea.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, right? And I wanted to ask you, did you do the run? Did you do the road to Sparta? Did you do that run, Dean, from Sparta to Athens?
Yes. It's called the Spartathlon.
That's
and
cool.
It's a very famous ultramarathon in Greece. I've done it a few times.
Wow.
And yeah.
When you say ultramarathon, what does that mean?
No big deal. No big deal, guys.
The marathon came from Greece. I mean, I hope you guys know the marathon.
Yeah.
So,
of course.
Yeah. So, you know, the legend is after the Athenians somehow beat the Persians at the Battle of Marathon, they dispatched this foot messenger, Phidippides, to run to Athens, and he ran to Athens and, you know, came up into the chambers and proclaimed Nike, you know, victory, victory, we are victorious. And then he died.
Yeah.
So that's
you ran 153 miles.
Yeah. Well, that's what people think. He just ran the 26.2 miles, but he actually ran to Sparta and back beforehand. So he'd run beyond a marathon, and in Latin, ultra just means beyond. So an ultra marathon is anything beyond a marathon, and a marathon is 26.2
Right.
miles.
Right.
So if you run further than 26.2 miles, you've run an ultra marathon.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't know that. That's something new. That's amazing. And it's like, that's probably where Conan got his little bit from when, because the guy dropped dead after running. So he's like, here comes Dean, who like just ran 50-50. And it's amazing. It's amazing to me that can actually happen.
Well, the other thing that you guys, you might know, but most people don't, is where the Persians landed. I don't know if you've been to Marathon in Greece, but it's a big coastal plain, a big bay, and it was filled with wild fennel. The fennel grows all over Greece, the herb. And Marathon, the translation just means field of fennel. So I don't think a lot of people know that's the genesis.
No.
Honestly, I didn't know that.
Never knew that.
See, connecting Greeks.
Monophona.
We're teaching new things.
And actually,
we learn things as we go along.
Yeah.
Phidippides, his name, the translation of his name can be spare the horse, because these foot messengers, they could outrun horses. And they used to, why kill a horse? Just spare the horse, send this guy who can run there, and he'll be fine. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so cool. That's new. I really didn't know that. I thought I knew pretty much everything there was to. It's these little Greek fun facts that like I love.
Well,
like,
the reason you don't know it
is because you don't run 150 miles. Any Greek, if you're Greek, I think you ought to read this book, and it'll make you proud. And not only will you learn a lot, but it'll make you proud to be Greek.
We're ordering a copy right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the book. I'm gonna get that book. I want to get it for sure. And I'd heard about it. Now, Dean, I wanted to ask you, because I know that you've written a lot of books. And it sounds like to me that when you write something, you experience it first. Is that how you write? Is that kind of your method and what you're doing?
Yeah, I think, my books I've sold millions of copies of my books, and they're not what you would expect. Like the most frequent response I get from someone who reads one of my books is like, wow, like that was actually good. Like they were expecting like a typical sports memoir.
Do people think like it's gonna be a book about running, like technical running book, and it's like, okay, what am I, a physical therapist or something? Like, why do I care? No, it's actually a good story.
It's Homeric. I mean, that's what I try to fashion my writing after Homer. They're stories about epics, and most of them are about these, races and running across Uzbekistan in the middle of summer, or running across Death Valley, or running a marathon to the South Pole. But they're gritty as well. I mean, I describe my toenails falling off. I get very visceral in the descriptions. But throughout these books, the theme of being Greek and Greekness and arete just shines through. So, I was first known as an ultra marathoner. Now I'm more known as a Greek athlete, which makes me prouder. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting because when I went the very, very, very first time, I can't remember years ago, the very first time I saw your name written somewhere, I said to myself, that sounds like a Greek name, but I wasn't like completely sure. And then it's after I got to know like who you were as a athlete that I looked into it more, and I was like, yeah, he is Greek, but that Greekness wasn't like in any of the forefront material. It was you as a runner, and I had to kind of dive in to see that you were Greek. And once I found out you were Greek, forget it. I was like, this is like the most unbelievable guy right here. This is it.
And here he is. I'm connecting.
Yeah, here he is. Yeah.
And
I want to ask you
about Greece, but I have deep relationships with Greece, and I'm part of an event called the Navarino Challenge. That this will be our 10th annual year. So I work with a couple businesses in Greece to support them and try to help them grow. And it's been just like the most fulfilling thing of my life. If it wasn't for my daughter, who just said she would disown me if I moved to Greece, I would be living in Greece right now.
Wow.
Really?
I love it. I feel
Greece is great.
I'm sure it's in the cards in the future for you.
Yeah, it is. And when she gets married, I'm gone.
I was gonna say, is she on the younger side? How old is she?
She's in her mid-20s, but we have a really, really close relationship. And I try. She's been to Greece. She loves Greece, but she's like, Dad, I was born in the U.S. Like my whole life. My
she
whole
has
life
her
is
whole
here.
thing here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I would never write it out. I always say at some point I want to get over there because it's just, if I compare, I love the US, obviously born and raised, and there's so many good qualities, but
Yeah,
nothing compares. Nothing.
I think Ari Costa might need a water boy in Greece.
Yeah. I'm there. I wouldn't be able to keep up with him in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Unless
try.
the Ultramarathon was like a Netflix binge, then maybe I could compete with you.
We'll raise goats in the hills. Yeah.
That's funny.
That is so
Hey,
funny.
Dean, I gotta ask you. I want to ask you, and you've done a lot. You've done a lot of marathons. What's the weirdest thing that happened? You ever animals chase you or something weird happen? There's got to be some great weirdness. What about anything ever happened while you're running?
We could spend a whole podcast on weirdness, but
yeah.
I remember one time I was on a national radio show when I was running across America. One time I ran from LA to New York, and in the middle of the interview, and I'm live and I'm running with my phone, and I get attacked by a dog.
Oh man!
Oh wow!
I'm trying to like keep a straight face and conduct this interview, and the guy's like, "What's that noise in the background?" I'm like, "Well, there's a dog that's trying to bite my leg right now."
Oh my God! I can only imagine like things that happen. You know, you there's so much. There's so many factors if you're running through all these different places. And one thing I was always interested in knowing, like, you run through like deserts, like heat, hot, no like water. Like how does your body kind of like what do you feel when you're doing this? Do you feel like what I would feel if I was running through the desert? And I just
would not. You would die.
That's a dumb question. But is it like, do you get like super thirsty, or does your body just acclimate and you just keep going? I can't process what goes on with you and somebody like you.
You know, I think the range of human abilities is really diverse. I don't think in other species you see like some animals being able to go so much further than others, but ultramarathoner, your whole body changes. Your heart grows stronger. You become more vascular, so you can pump more blood. You get heat acclimatization. Your body just changes in ways. And yeah, when I'm running across, Death Valley, or I've run across the Sahara, when it's 120 degrees out, it's hot, but I can tolerate it. Where other people would die, would literally die.
I would like, if it's hot out, I sit on the couch because I can't move. We're not even talking about running a little bit. I'm just like, I can't move. The heat bothers me so much. And it's like, I read these stories about you and it just boggles my mind. It boggles my mind that there's such a huge difference between the abilities of some people.
Costa.
Well, a lot of it comes down to turning off your mind, because it's when you start thinking about this is so damn intense. How am I going to live? It's overwhelming.
Do you feel like
I turn off my mind? Like, I don't listen to my mind at all. I just trust my body and just go for it.
Wow.
I was going to say, do you feel like you have like the mind over matter type of thing? If you think about it too much, it'll cause your body to like start getting tired or whatever. But if mind over matter, I can do this. It's not a problem. I'm not tired. I can do this. And then you keep going.
Yeah, there's a pretty famous race here on the West Coast. It's called the Western States 100-mile endurance run. And they say that you run the first 50 miles with your legs and the next 50 miles with your mind.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's very true.
Yeah. Wow.
I can see that. Costa, how old were you when you first started running?
I started running home from kindergarten when I was 6 years old. Yeah, literally. And we lived in Inglewood, when it was safe in Inglewood to run home from kindergarten.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, when was it that it clicked that you were actually a little bit different than the normal person? Were you like still a little kid, or was it you teen years, or were you older?
Literally my earliest recollections are running home from school. So I kind of related to the world through running. Wow. And then I ran all the way until I was a freshman in high school. And we won the state championships, and I quit running altogether. And then I was in a bar on my 30th birthday in San Francisco, doing what most guys do on their 30th birthday. I was in there drinking with my buddies.
Yeah.
And at midnight, I told them I was leaving. And they said, but where are you going? It's your 30th birthday. Let's have another round of tequila to celebrate. And I said, no, I'm going to go run 30 miles to celebrate instead.
Mm.
And they looked at me and they said, but you're not a runner, you're drunk. And I said, I am, but I'm still going to do it. So I literally walked out of a bar in San Francisco, completely inebriated. And I didn't even own running gear, but I had on these like comfortable silk boxer shorts. So I'll never forget, I peeled off my pants and kind of threw them down the alleyway and just started stumbling into the night, heading south, knowing there's a city called Half Moon Bay that was 30 miles away. And I thought, just run there.
Yep.
Wow.
And I literally, I don't know how I did it, but I ran straight through the night. I didn't sleep, and I made it 30 miles, kind of cold turkey. And
then you realize that you had some ability that, the average person just does not have.
And then when you got there, how'd you get back home?
this is before
Or you were really drunk and didn't know what you were doing, and you ended up there.
I sobered up about halfway through, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
Wow.
There was a payphone out in front, and I called my wife to pick me up, and she was.
Did you start yelling at you?
She's like, this is so unlike you've never not come home. Like, what, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I just need a ride. She's like, no questions asked. Where are you? And I said, well, I'm out in front of 7-Eleven. And she said, well, you mean the 7-Eleven down on Geary Street? And I said, no, the 7-Eleven in Half Moon Bay. She's like, what? And, she said, that's 30 miles away. How did you get there? And I said, I ran. And she said, from where? I said, I walked out of the bar and I ran here. And she said, just, hold tight. You don't sound very stable. I'll be right down. So she came and picked me up.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
But Dean, isn't there an individual thought process? When you were a kid, you drove your bike to your grandparents' house and you didn't tell anybody. True story?
Yeah.
You went,
yeah,
and I think what happens, it's cultural thing. I think it's a lot of it is you had that from a kid, is that I'm going to do something, like you got out of the bar, you went. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I was a corporate guy. I went through college and graduate school, and I got an MBA, and I had a very comfortable corporate job, and I was so miserable. It wasn't me. Like, I was making great money, and I had stock options, a company car, everything, but I hated it. I just I couldn't get out of bed in the morning, and so I decided after that 30-mile run, I was just going to quit my job and become a runner.
So cool. That's like literally like a movie scene right there. It's like the epiphany and the music.
Well, they made
building
a movie about it.
I was going to say,
they made a movie.
There's a couple movies about me. They're one is they're both kind of documentaries, but you're right. I talk a lot about my background, and between us guys, there is my book has been optioned off for a movie. So.
Awesome.
It's going to be made into a
Keep
theatrical release.
Keep us posted.
Movie. Yeah, definitely keep us posted on that. I mean, honestly, you're sitting here virtually right in front of us, but that is so cool. Like, I would love to see that, because again, everything I've read and Forty and Angelo, I'm sure think the same way. It's such an unbelievable story, and it's not like your dad was like an ultramarathoner that started training you when you were like 2, and like you just kind of went that path. You had a life, and it was a different path, and then you kind of had something inside you, and it came out, and it's just one of those, like, it just makes, I think it makes for a good movie. It has that whole path, and yeah,
honestly, I don't know how I'm still doing it. I mean, that was almost 30 years ago, and I'm still like making a career, and I
think you'll be doing it for a while, no?
Yeah, I mean, Men's Health just came out with their list of like the 50 fittest guys in America, and I'm on the list. Like, and you look at these other guys, and there's no one over 30. I mean, a couple guys over 30. And I'm in my 50s, and I'm somehow on this list, and no one ever says, "God, this guy he's over 50." They just think I'm still this incredible athlete.
So, Costa, there's hope for us, is what you're saying.
I don't think so, Flippy. I don't think so. Because I said in my intro, the closest thing I'll get to interviewing a superhero is you. So if you follow any of that kind of stuff, it's like there's a group called the X-Men, right? And it's a genetic mutation that makes them leap forward in evolution. That's almost kind of something that sounds like could be happening with you. You might be like a jump in evolution where your body can do these amazing things. I mean, I don't know the science behind it, so don't like listen to what I'm saying. I'm just saying
if you want to know the science behind it, there's you know who Stan Lee is?
Yeah. Marvel Comics, all that.
Yeah, he did a whole episode on me. It's on TV, right? It's called Superhumans.
Yep.
And they did a segment on me. So they came for 2 days and they did all these tests on me, and analysts, analyzed me and sliced and diced me, took blood, took my oxygen.
And is there like a kind of a gist of what they found? Is there some easy explanation, or is it some complicated kind of?
No, they found that I don't produce something called lactic acid. So when you exercise, like say you're lifting weights, you're doing like dumbbell curls, and like you're lifting, and then all of a sudden you feel that burning sensation in your muscle.
Yeah.
You got to put the weight down. And then you just kind of rest your arm for a couple minutes, and you could pick it up again and keep doing reps. And then you start feeling that burning sensation.
Yes.
That's lactic acid building up. And when they had me on a treadmill, they're like, this will take about 15 minutes to get your lactic acid threshold. 2 hours later, they're like, oh, we've never seen anything like this. Like you should be fatiguing and you should have lactic acid right now, but you don't. It's like seemingly you could run forever.
So that is an evolutionary jump, right?
They're not sure if it's genetic. They had a geneticist from Stanford look at it, and he's like, yeah, there's this sequencing in his genes that we really don't know what it means. We don't see it ever, but maybe this is it.
So what you didn't know is that they took your blood, and there's like a whole race of superhuman runners like being developed right now without anybody knowing about
me.
They're cloning you.
Right? If we ever go to some land war and you see our soldiers just bursting through the night without getting tired, we're like, we know where they came from. That's so cool.
You can make a lot of money at a bar. You can walk inside to a guy going, hey, I bet you I could run to that hill and back. And he goes, I'll take your bet. And then you've done it like 5 times and this guy hasn't gone half the way.
Oh, man.
That'd be kind of interesting. It's kind of like, let me ask you, because they're making movies about it and your books have been so successful. And I know that you've, on a personal level, you've done a lot of work, especially in Greece and helping people. What other ways have you been able to take your ability and talents, Dean, and apply them for people who want to maybe strive to do better things in their life? I mean, I know you've done a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I do a lot of work with children's groups, trying to get kids to be more healthy and active. So that's been a big push of mine. There's an organization here in the US called Girls on the Run that takes inner city at-risk youth girls and teaches them, self-esteem, camaraderie, and goal achievement through a 10-week running program where they finish by running a 5K. And I've been on their board for a while. So it's a great organization. In Greece, when I go to Greece with the Navarino Challenge, we have a big kids race as well. So, the parents, we run a half marathon or a 10K or a 5K. And then there's a 1K kids race. And we get thousands of kids coming out and they just love it.
I can imagine.
Nice.
So cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, I always say if you build it, they will run. Kids naturally love to run. And I think the way we bring up, especially young boys, we tell them in class to sit still and pay attention. But the human nature of a young boy is to go wild and not pay attention. They want to play.
Yeah.
So I just say, let them play. I mean, that's what kids do. They run, they explore, they play.
Sure.
And the fitness, the fitness is always good. It's always good to get the young kids into fitness because, we are living in a time where these kids are sitting at home playing video games. They're on their phones. They're texting. It's a lot of non-physicalness. And
well, Ari, it's not just kids. It's adults.
Yeah. It's true.
We're a product of these stupid iPhones and stuff. We're sitting there. I know I do it. when I grew up in Canada, we played street hockey in the street. We
Mhm.
skate all night at the hockey rinks and stuff. And now, you know, it's like, hey, I got no Wi-Fi. What the hell's going on? It's amazing.
Yeah. So it's important. It's important that you do that because you're right. Kids love to do it. Kids want to do it, and they should be doing it. And it's organizations like the ones that you represent that hopefully are part of like a bigger picture of getting these kids off their screens, as we say.
Well, I mean, honestly, the biggest picture of kids' health is, parents ask me all the time, like, hey, little Johnny he's not active and he doesn't eat well. What should I do? And I have to ask the parent the hard question, like, well, are you active and do you eat well?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times these kids just need a role model.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Mhm.
That's
You're
true.
right.
So true.
Costa, I'm gonna ask a biased question. Being from Boston, I'm assuming you ran the Boston Marathon.
Oh, many times. Yeah.
Nice.
Many times.
And compared to other marathons around the country, your perception or your opinion about Boston as a marathon?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the pinnacle marathons in the world. Every marathon, it's funny when I've run over 300 marathons on all 7 continents twice.
Wow.
And marathons are like cities. They have their own unique personality. When you go to LA, it's different than when you go to San Diego, than when you go to New York City, when you go to Chicago, when you go to Boston, you go to Austin, it's got a different feel. And Boston has a very unique feel. There's quirky things that happen on almost every marathon. And one thing, like tradition with Boston, is at the halfway point, there's a all women's college called Wellesley.
Mhm.
Yes.
Do you know about the Wellesley Kisses?
No.
No.
Tell us.
It's a tradition where all the Wellesley girls go out there and they give free kisses to runners passing by.
Well, I'm joining the marathon.
I mean, I talk to guys and they're like in their 60s, they're like, I'm still doing it because I mean that is all I look forward to the whole year is getting a kiss.
Well,
Wow.
Dean, you just motivated Angelo to do his first marathon. So there you go.
I'm going to Boston. I'm going to Boston. Now, hey, Dean, so you did a marathon in Antarctica.
Ow.
Is that right? It was like -15 or something. Like, what the heck? What was that all about?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you that Antarctica is a big continent, and I've done races on the exterior. And then one time I ran a marathon at the South Pole. And the South Pole is like the most intense place in the world. And it was actually minus 35 degrees.
Oh my God.
And I was supposed to be gone for 12
How many
days.
people? How many people were there, Dean?
There were supposed to be 40 to 50 people, and ended up 3 of us.
Oh my gosh.
And we almost
Wow.
died. Yeah, we almost died. It was so intense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what did you physically feel? So this is like me running down the street here in front of my house is probably the closest that you would ever feel to like not being able to do something or your body kind of suffering. What did you feel at that extreme level?
It was just misery because, we'd been living in these tents for 12 days and everything we had was frozen. So if you wanted to brush your teeth, you had to sleep with your toothpaste in your mummy bag just to warm up the toothpaste enough.
Oh
The
my
food,
God.
you're eating, space, literally like space food. So it's freeze-dried food.
Wow.
And there was whiteout conditions. I mean, it was so hard to run because I was running with one of the other runners and he would just fall over because you get vertigo. You can't tell if you're going forward, sideways, up, down. All you see is white.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was really quite dangerous. And, like I said, I was supposed to be back in 12 days and 31 days later, I made it back to San Francisco.
That's
Oh,
Wow.
Hey.
amazing.
Oof.
I couldn't.
Does
I can't.
anybody live in Antarctica? Does anybody live there?
Now, well,
I think it's just
there's a place called
researchers, right?
there's a South Pole Station. It's a research center, but it's below ground.
Yeah.
So there was no when you get to the finish line, there was a inaugural South Pole Marathon, and then there's the South Pole. There's actually this candy striped barber pole with this stainless steel orb on top. literally. And I remember I finished the marathon. I was standing there looking at this, the South Pole, and one of these a guy from the South Pole station said to me, "Hey, that was amazing. You're the first person to run a marathon to the South Pole. Did you want to run around the world naked?" Okay, Bob, you've been spending a little bit too much time down here at the South Pole. And he said, no, I'm an engineer. Think about it. If you run around the South Pole, you're circumnavigating the globe.
Yeah.
At its smallest circumference.
True. True.
Yeah, you at first you're like, okay, dude. But that makes sense.
I said to him that, I said, yeah, okay, that's true, but it's minus 35 degrees out. And he's like, don't let any of your appendages touch that stainless steel orb on top and you'll be fine. So I literally ran around the world naked. I stripped down and did a quick loop.
Have you ever lost a game of Never Have I Ever? Like you could beat anybody with this game because you've done things that I don't think any other human could possibly do. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, pick up one of my books and you can read. Like I could tell you, I could go on and on. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, I could imagine. You absolutely. We need to do multiple episodes because before we got on, I have like a million questions. As you're talking, a million more are coming to mind, and it's like we could just sit here all day and get these questions. So let's just do what we're doing now, and hopefully you could come back so we could like kind of get into different specifics. But Foti, you have a couple of things you want to ask, do you not?
Yeah, but before
yeah,
we get to Foti, I want to say when Dean says I gotta run, he really means I gotta run. Well,
He's
legit. Really, I gotta run.
Oh man. No, this has been just an inspiring segment. We talked to a lot of great folks, of course, who are Greeks around the world who have interesting stories to tell. This by far has to be the most interesting,
the most
inspiring
amazing
segment that we've had. Because to Ari's comments earlier, we've watched you on some of these documentaries, and we're just so proud that you were Greek. Besides the fact that you made all these accomplishments, like he's Greek. That's number one for us. And no, it's great to actually have you here. It's an honor that you're on our show and you took the time to be with us. We definitely want to be informed of any of your upcoming ventures, projects, anything in the pipeline that you got going on that maybe you can disclose with us on our segment.
Yeah, I mean, I've always got things going on. Next, at the end of either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, I'm going to try to run from the lowest point on Earth to the highest point on Earth. So,
oh wow!
Is that Mount Everest?
Yeah, everyone knows the highest point on Earth is Mount Everest. The lowest point is the Dead Sea.
Dead Sea in Israel.
It's about 5,000 miles, and that is my next goal, is to run from the lowest to the highest.
And what's the frame for you?
I'll follow a lot of what I'll follow is the ancient Silk Road, which is the path of Alexander the Great that he followed.
Oh my God!
That's right.
Please tell me they're filming this and documenting it, right?
Yeah, I think Nat Geo is gonna be with me. Film crew from Nat Geo.
That's so cool.
Ari, I think Costa needs some assistance to go with him to film. So
why you act like I have even like 5 seconds I would last on any trip with Costa.
we're gonna rent you a scooter.
We'll get you a bike. Yeah.
Even you could get me a fully gassed up car and I probably wouldn't last as much as you driving. But you're in your 50s and this is your goal. This is your next goal.
Costa, what's the time frame to complete the 5,000-mile journey?
It's probably going to be about 5 months.
5 months.
Yeah. And cool. I have to arrive within a certain window in May, because you only have like about a 30-day window to climb Mount Everest with a.
Yeah, I was going to say you got to time that pretty well.
Right.
Time it.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we call and check in on you when you're?
Yeah.
Then pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And then pizza.
And hopefully a dog isn't attacking him at the moment. Foti, because I'm so interested in the answers that he's going to give, I want you to do your little thing, your segment.
Before I kick off, Angela, any last thoughts or comments or questions for?
No, this has been wonderful. I'm learning and listening.
This is
Hey,
awesome.
Angela, before we do sign off, congratulations on dropping 200 pounds. That
Yeah.
is, I
Thanks.
mean, that's phenomenal. And I wish you success to keep going. I mean,
Thanks. I'm
it's so
trying.
hard. It's so
As long as
hard
they
to do
keep
what you're
booking
doing.
me, Costa, they keep booking me on cruise ships. But I'll tell you, it's motivating because I see all these people eating and I don't want to eat. I get
Yeah.
disgusted. I'm like, I'm not going to eat. Like, I'm not eating this stuff. I go the opposite, So it's it's hard. We all love food. We all love food. So
Especially
it's
with
like,
Greek
but
food.
thanks.
Yeah, but there's also bad
It's
habits
good
that
food.
we could all stand to lose,
Sure.
especially here in
true.
the States. So,
True.
but to segue into your segment for the
Yes.
this is the first question is food related. So let's
Yeah.
hear.
So Costa, we always like to ask our guests 3 fun questions just to get to know you a little bit more as a Greek. So the first question we're going to ask you, Costa, we talked about nutrition and food, but as Costa, your favorite and least favorite Greek food?
Oh, wow. I would say my favorite was my Yaya's horta.
Oh,
Baby, she could do mean horta.
I love that that's his answer because it kind of suits
Makes
everything about
sense.
you.
Let me ask you real quickly, guys. On the topic of horta, real quick, I had this conversation the other day. Horta hot or horta cold?
I think it depends on the like if it's for lunch, I'd like it cold, dinner, maybe hot.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
That came up the other day. And I was like, really? It made me think.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the food, I'm not so crazy about pork. The Greek, especially when you get up in into the around Tripoli,
Chirino.
Arcadia, up in the hills, they eat a lot of pork, and I've never had a really
Okay.
strong stomach for pork. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that mean that you will stay away from gyros or gyros?
They're not all pork, are they?
I would say mainly pork.
Okay.
Depending
Stay away
on-
from
Potopolo,
yeah.
Beefsteak,
Yeah.
Hey, Costa, did you ever go pick horta with Yaya? Did you ever get the butter knife out the side of the highway and pick it up? Or
I did. I remember when I was a kid, she'd make us all do it. We didn't have a choice.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you had the little
That's
butter knife,
awesome.
you're picking it up there.
That is the best.
Hey guys, how come no one has a horta picking business? All the horta that's out there.
I think most Americans are like, what the
We all
heck?
grew up doing it, right? All right, excellent. Costa, second question for you. As a Greek American with both parents being Greek and growing up in a Greek household, any Greek sayings from your parents or maybe even grandparents or uncles and aunts that have stuck with you through the years that you can remember?
Like, give them an example.
One of my famous and favorites are, every time I left the house, it was classic. My mom always used to say, "Tamate sudekatesera," whenever I left the house, especially when I took my little brother with me.
Uh-huh.
I think what I remember is my uncle Leo. When he was in Chicago, every time we'd visit Leo and we'd go into a department store, he would have we'd hear on the loudspeaker eventually, paging Mr. Harry Colo. and all the Greeks in there would start cracking up, and all the Americans are like, "What's so funny about that?"
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That is classic.
You gotta do more of that these days.
I know.
And the last question we're going to ask you, Costa, is that, as Greeks, we're very passionate people and also very dramatic. And superstition is part of our culture. Do you live by any superstition that you want to share with us?
And maybe that's not even his Greek side. Maybe that's because he's an athlete, and a lot of athletes are superstitious. So is it either or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't have any. I mean, I've heard so much, when I was running, I ran 10 marathons in 10 days in Greece just this past October to commemorate the bicentennial of Greek independence.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And we saw a black cat come in front of me, and one of the runners grabbed my shirt, which was red, and started rubbing my shirt. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he said, if you rub a patch of red clothing, when you see a black cat, it neutralizes the bad stuff. So
Did that black cat cross your path?
yeah, black cat just it just ran across the street. And
Dean is teaching me a few things about. I've never heard that.
that was new one to me as well. Yeah,
I never heard of
That's
it.
crazy.
Well, neither did Dean until the guy started rubbing his shirt.
That's
Oh
awesome.
wow.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dean. Again, a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
Great having you on.
So, Dean,
Dean.
I just want to say on behalf of all of us, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being with us. Please, please, please come back again. Please keep us updated. Stay connected with us whenever you have time. We would love to hear about it, and we would love to, talk about it, and whatever capacity you have, include us so we could be part of this. And we want to thank you again so much for being with us. Amazing, amazing, amazing what you do. And we're going to link up a lot of your information in the notes of the videos and the podcast so people can find your books, your websites, everything about you. And thanks again. Thanks everybody out there for watching and listening. Dean Karnazes, the amazing, amazing Dean Karnazes was with us, and we want to thank him again. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, boys.
Bye, Dean. Bye, guys. Take care.
Strength and
Take
endurance.
care.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Strength and
Dean.
endurance. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.